Hello and welcome to our Learn Python series. In lesson 5, we're going to talk about our Python libraries. Why do we need them? How do we use them? And then we're going to see how do we apply these libraries to solve our problems. Let's dig right into writing our code. Let's see what are Python libraries, why do we need, and how do we use them. So we have a math problem which says that we have a right angle triangle with a hypotenuse of 10 units to the angle of 45 degrees. We've been asked to compute the base and height of the triangle. And then at the end, we have to print the calculated values with the date and time stamp when the report was generated. So from our high school math, we know that how we base and perpendicular or height is computed. And we know the Pythagoras theorem that we can use to compute the hypotenuse. So let's start. If we didn't know anything about the libraries, our instinct may be that there is some statement which says cosine. Is there one? We write cosine. Oh, we got an error which says name cosine is not defined. That means it's not there. So this is where the concept of the Python libraries come into play, because this is a mathematical statement. So there is a math library. So we use it by saying import math. So that is how we're going to start. So we got our math, and let's start by declaring our variables. What we have been given is hypotenuse of 10. We've been given an angle of 45. When we compute cosine, the sine values, we don't use angle in degrees, we use angle in radians. So there in the math library, there is a statement or a function, however we want to call it for now. We say angle radian. This is how we use library math. So there is a function called radians. So now we have computed angle in radian. Next thing, we now have to compute our base. What the base is? What base is hypotenuse multiplied by, so on math there is a function called cos, and keep in mind we're going to be giving it angle in radians, not in degree. Now we compute our height. Height is what? Height is hypotenuse multiplied by sine of angle in radian. So now we have computed two things that we've been asked. Before we go any further, let's start printing our report, as we learned in our previous chapter that how we use print function. Let's print our what we have, our variables or the values that we have been given. We'll start by printing hypotenuse. We said hypotenuse is hypotenuse, and we'll say the units are meters. Let's print our angle. Since we've given angle in degree, so let's use the unit degree. So let's start by printing our computed values. First thing we computed base. Let's print that. Let's print our height. All right, so let's run this program. So far so good. Everything is printed, everything is computed. The last thing we've been asked to verify that our computed value of hypotenuse is correct. Let's call this computed hypotenuse, and we're going to use our Pythagoras theorem, which requires us to do a square. On math library there is a function called sqrt, which is the square root, and this is going to be, we're going to use our exponent operator to compute the sum of squares. So now we have our computed hypotenuse. Let's print that and see if it is same as what we were expecting it to be. And we were expecting what? We are expecting 10, because that is how we started our computation. Perfect. We got our computed hypotenuse to be 10 meters. So far so good. Don't worry about all the decimal places that are being displayed for base and height. I'm going to leave that as an exercise for you to format like we did in the previous chapter, to 2 decimal places. The last thing that we have to do, we've been asked, is to print the timestamp. That is done by including our datetime library. Notice that it's imported differently because there are more libraries in the same implementation. We say from datetime, import datetime, and there is a function called now, as it's very intuitive. Let's call it report time is what? Datetime. Yes, there is a function called now that gives us our timestamp, and let's print. This time we're going to use our F string formatting because we want the time to be reported very nicely formatted, as we saw in our previous chapter how we use F string. Now this is where additional formatting will come into play, where we will use the formatting that is used for the timestamps. So we have printed year, we have printed month, and then if you want to leave it there, then you can print the hour and the number of minutes. So what do we have? Perfect. Now we got all that was required. So now you have seen what libraries are and how we use in our computations. Thanks for learning with us. Do subscribe and like our channel. For more information, do visit our website. Till next lesson, take care. Goodbye.